Good afternoon. I am A. Allen, and this is Dave Hamilton, our creative director with Streetwise. You are on with Streetwise live for the next 25 minutes on CAN TV Channel 21. You are streaming live on cantv.org/hotline. You can join the conversation by calling 312-738-1600. Today we will be joined by Amanda Jones and Dave Hamilton. They will talk about Inspire. Inspire is the international network of street papers. But starting out, we want to bring you up to date what you've been missing with Streetwise. Streetwise, one of the main additions we wasn't on the air was the Thinking of Moms. And our creative director, he was very creative in this cover. We had a lot of compliments on this cover, and I really like the cover too. But the cover goes much deeper than just the outside. Say never judge a book by its cover. But check this out, Thinking of Moms. I like the way Dave put the flowers, see how the flowers go, and then he continues it on the inside, and then continues it on the inside, and continues it as a border. I really like that creative style. That's why he's the creative director. And so this is one of the articles that you missed, or one of the magazines, and you can get these magazines. You can request them from your vendors. Whoever have a vendor, you ask your vendors, can I get that Mother's Day issue? And in that Mother's Day issue, I do believe I have an article somewhere in here, and vendors did talk about moms. Vendors did talk about moms, and I have an article where I talked about my moms in here. So that's one of the ones you missed, okay?
All right.
Okay, and then we have the farmer's market. The
That
farmer's
was a
market.
fun one to put together.
Yeah, well, that's one that the customers actually look forward to. A lot of our customers go to the farmer market, and the farmers market have a tendency to sell Streetwise. It's like the same people, right? The same people that shop with Streetwise also shops at the farmers market. So it's like two peas in a pot. They go hand in hand. So that's one you missed, okay? The farmers market is still going on.
Oh yeah, they'll be going on all summer.
The farmers market is still going on. So if you want to know where your local farmer market is, ask one of your local vendors. Can you give me a farmers market guide? Okay, and this is what this is, the farmers market guide. Okay, and you think that was something. Check this out. Then, bam, we come up with the Festival Guide 2019. This is one of our hottest sellers, the Festival Guide.
It is the hottest seller.
The hottest seller. We
Not
ordered
one of.
Yeah, the hottest seller. We normally sell out of these every year, and this year we ordered extras, right? And still sold
We're
out.
still sold out.
Still sold out, so people are still requesting the Festival Guide, okay? But the Festival Guide is one that covers the festival from, from May the 20th to September. There's always festivals going on in Chicago, okay?
Yeah, all the way through the end of September.
That's indoor festival, outdoor festivals, all kind of festivals, okay? Hot festivals, hot summer festivals.
Like
cool,
today.
Like today. And then cool September festivals. So get your festival guide, okay? And then when you thought things couldn't get any better, bam, Tuskegee Airmen. One of our vendors was able to talk to one of the wives of one of the airmen, and Dave and Susan Haney put together this magazine, and it's a very good article about the Tuskegee Airmen. A lot of them did not get the recognition that was due them, but they got the recognition in the Streetwise. That was the, that was the May 27 edition all the way to June the 2nd.
Yeah, it was kind of for Memorial Day.
Oh yeah, Memorial Day.
We were using it,
and it was right
for.
on time. It was right on time. People really enjoyed that. Okay, I'm hoping I didn't miss anything, but we're going to go right into when you thought it couldn't get any better, then bam, guess what happens? Pride, okay? And Pride was the beginning of June, and Pride went all the way to the end of this month. I think the last day for Pride, this issue, look how colorful
Sunday.
it is. Sunday was the last day.
The parade.
Yeah, this was a Pride guide, okay? We have a lot of guides, and it don't actually say Pride guide, but it actually guides you through the whole Pride celebration, right?
Yeah, we wanted to talk about Pride in Chicago, but we also, so we had like a bunch of events listed in there to celebrate the month, during the month of June, but we also had a very special story about the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots,
Oh, yeah.
which are the birth of the modern LGBTQ civil rights movement. So it was a big year for gay pride, and so we had to celebrate it along with everybody else, of course, and really draw attention to that history. Because the Stonewall riots and the onset of equal rights for gay and lesbians were brought on by transgendered Black queer youth. So it's very important for us to talk about like the real roots of pride. And now, sometimes in Chicago we get to take it for granted because it's a safe space, but it's not like that everywhere still. Even 50 years after the birth of the movement, it's still not a safe place for everyone everywhere in this country, which is sad. Even the government's, attacking queer people. And so we are very fortunate to be in Chicago, but it's still not safe out there for everyone, so we need to really draw attention to those things.
And that was a very, very good article because I was not aware of the Stonewall, the incident, because, as we went over it and reviewed it in current events, I was like, the gays have came a long ways, just like women's suffrage have came a long ways, just like blacks have came a long ways, and to read that article and see where it all started, man, it was amazing. It was very informative, and I was, I get a lot of knowledge from, not only am I a vendor that sells Streetwise, but I also read Streetwise, and I get a lot of knowledge from Streetwise, knowledge that I wouldn't normally get from the Sun-Times, from the Tribunes, and that article, the Stonewall, was very, very educational. And you too can get it. If you haven't got it, you can go to your vendor and request the Pride issue. I'm pretty sure your vendor can get you a hold of one, the Pride issue, so you too can be aware of how it started. Okay? Anything else, David?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's just kind of crazy to think about how, people of color and women and queer people have all had to go through these struggles, and we're still fighting for equality after all these years, And
what amazes me is that, all these movements started with an event.
They sure did, yeah. That's true.
It started with some type of event, and the Stonewall was the event that started the gay pride, and it was, like I say, it was very interesting, it was very informative, and you did a great job on this colorful cover, and when you thought things couldn't get much better, guess what? Bam! It got much better. Father's Day celebration, okay? A lot of people don't want to recognize their fathers, especially, believe it or not, especially black men. Okay, I can speak from experience. A lot of black men do not want to recognize their fathers, but I hope my son don't be like that. But because, black men have been negligent in raising their kids, and a lot of kids have been abandoned by their fathers, but nevertheless, Father's Day issue was a good issue because, one of the reasons is because they put out an article in here, and then not only that.
Oh yeah, you wrote one of the articles.
Yeah, I wrote one of the articles, and then they put a picture of my children in here, which is Kalani. She's at the studio outside now, and TJ and myself. But this article here is especially about my dad. Okay, but a lot.
What did you have to say about your dad?
No, what I had to say about my dad was, my dad still talks to me, even though he passed in 2006. He still talks to me in the way of reflection, because I do remember him telling me things like drinking wasn't good for me, because I somehow became an alcoholic because a lot of my family do drink, but he was not a drinker, And he told me, he said, one day you will wake up and recognize that you're Alan and that you're not an alcoholic. And believe it or not, coming up on 10 years of being sober, I recognize today that I am an Allen and I'm not an alcoholic, because I thought alcohol was everything to me when I was in bondage to alcohol and drugs. I thought that was the world, alcohol and drugs. But now I have a different perspective, and now when I look back, I see what he was telling me was right. So that's what I had to write about my dad. But there's a lot of good articles that the vendors expressed about their dads and dad-like figures.
Yeah, and being fathers also.
Oh, yeah,
a little bit of
father.
reflection on being fathers, like you.
Yeah, because at being a dad, and when I look back, on the way my dad talked to me. You know, it was out of love, it was out of concern for my own good, but I couldn't see that then. I thought
Right.
he was just being a killjoy, you know, a wet blanket. I thought he was like everything but trying to tell me something to help me, you know.
Right.
But he actually was trying to tell me something to help me. And even though I was looking at the good times, you know. Now that the good times is over with alcohol, I'm more serious about life, and I am more responsible thanks to Streetwise. But when you thought things couldn't get much better, then guess what? Bam! Miss Lily, okay,
Yeah.
Sesame Street introduced their first Muppet that experienced homelessness, and her name is Miss Lily. I think
Yeah.
Dave will talk a little bit about this.
I mean, this was a very exciting issue. You know, Sesame Street is, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, it's something that I grew up watching every single day, really, you know. So and they do a lot of outreach within communities throughout the whole U.S. And so this actually is a story about a new Muppet who, well, she's not terribly new. She had some food insecurities in the past, and then just recently faced homelessness with her parents, which you never meet her parents, but in the story of Sesame Street, Lily has to move in with one of her friends because she doesn't have a place to stay anymore.
Okay.
Which was completely created, you know, with the idea of letting children know that sometimes this happens, and so maybe children that are going through this, because you know, would be able to relate to Lily and realize that it's okay, and sometimes you have to work through these things. And it also was created to teach you know, tolerance, and so that children that maybe aren't going through homelessness would be able to see the Lily in other children that are, and they would be able to then, you know, approach with, you know, dignity and some empathy for children that are experiencing homelessness. So that's basically the story behind it, which, I mean, it's very good and very touching, and if you do want some copies, I think we have only a little bit left over, so if you see a Streetwise vendor with one of these issues, please ask to buy it. But what was funny about this issue is that we actually, it was out last week, and then a lot of the Streetwise, or the Sesame Street characters came into town to record anniversary videos, and they made it Sesame Street Day and last Thursday, and Lori Lightfoot and J.B. Pritzker met up with the characters and kids, and they filmed video segments for Sesame Street's upcoming anniversary. So like, we could not have had a better timing with running our ad, or running our issue of Sesame Street with what was going on in Chicago. So that was pretty cool. And then also, not to spoil anything, but then also last week Lily did end up finding a home.
Oh, yeah.
So, so she did end up finding a home, but they also did it in a way that, you know, addresses a little bit of gentrification. And Lily and her family couldn't afford a home on Sesame Street, so they had to move a little bit further out, but close enough that she could still go visit her friends on Sesame Street. So it'll be interesting to see if they tackle ideas like gentrification, where people are getting pushed out of the neighborhoods that they have lived in or want to live in. So it seems to me like that's what they're going to be doing. Like, you know, people aren't going to be able to live in the city as much anymore, and so people might get pushed out.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what they're showing with Lily too. I mean, she's a very experimental character. She's really kind of pushing boundaries and like getting children to learn a little bit more about things that they wouldn't normally have to worry about, because that's how our society is now, you know. Children are facing homelessness more than they used to. Children, you know, have to leave and move more than they used to. So I think that it's a really positive thing that they're trying to make children feel more comfortable.
And you
It's
know
really nice.
what I really like about it, because it's to me, in my opinion, it's like an introduction, for the children to be introduced to homelessness.
Right.
Okay, because as a child, I have a daughter, and as a child asking you something like, "Dad, why is that man sitting on the ground with his hand out?" Where do you start to explain that?
Right.
But if they introduce it on Sesame Street, at least it's a start.
Right, exactly.
It's a start in explaining it. And then I know back at the office, we discussed Sesame Street, and I see you very aware of it because you gave me some information that I didn't know. I thought that Oscar,
Yeah.
I thought that Oscar was homeless.
So that was something that came up on social media a lot last week because people were like, wait, Oscar's homeless.
Right.
But Oscar is not homeless. He lives in the trash can, which
Yeah.
sounds mean to say, but he lives in a trash can, and it's like, I Dream a Genie.
Right.
It's like a genie's bottle situation.
Yeah.
So if you actually, there's a couple of episodes where they go inside Oscar's trash can, and it's a full apartment.
Okay.
With beds, bookshelves,
See, I never
a
knew
full
that.
kitchen. Like, it's like a full apartment in
Okay.
Oscar's trash can. So he is not homeless. And he was a character that was one of the first, I think he was the first group of Sesame Street characters. So he was introduced more as like kind of a grumpy old man joke.
Right.
So they didn't like really see him as being like, a character that kids could relate to, like Lily. Lily's she looks a little bit more human than like Oscar or Elmo, who are all furry, So yeah, so that's.
and then since then, I ask people, I say, she's homeless. I say, but I always thought Oscar was homeless. They said, no, Oscar never been homeless. Oscar had that garbage can.
I'm telling you, it's pretty spacious in that garbage can.
I never looked at it that way, but everybody's right, including you was the first one to tell me about that. There's one issue that I skipped, and I didn't mean to skip, but I'm going to go ahead and put this on there. That's the Millennium Park. The Millennium Park Guide, okay? This one was, I think, before Oscars.
Yeah, that was before.
Yeah, it was June 17th to the 25th.
Yeah.
So if you want to get this guide, this is a guide to tell you about what's going on at Millennium Park. But
There's a lot of free things that go on at Millennium Park, so much so that we had to give it its own issue.
Oh, yeah. And through this issue, I got the knowledge of the dancing, the movies.
Oh yeah, there's free dance lessons in Millennium Park. It's pretty awesome.
And movies. The movies, yeah.
Yep, free movies, free dance lessons, tons of free concerts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. Then, in this issue, it explains about the money that was put into Millennium Park to bring tourists. And the tourists bring a lot of money to Chicago, and so they invested into Millennium Park, and I think it was a very good investment, because we do have the beam.
Yeah.
Or the cloud, what is it, the cloud?
The Cloud Gate.
The cloud gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. So
I think Millennium Park is like the crown jewel
Yeah,
on
it is.
Chicago. I know that a lot of people might think it's touristy, and if you live here, you might be like, I don't really want to go downtown, but it is so worth it.
Yes, it is.
You can get some of those free concerts. I've found some of my favorite artists through just like, stumbling upon the Pritzker Pavilion, and there was someone playing, and we were like, oh, let's listen to this. Grab a sandwich, grab some food, and sit on the lawn, catch a show.
And
It's
then
the
all the
best.
festivals, like the Blues Fest, the Jazz Fest, the Gospel Fest, all of them is around Millennium Park.
That's true.
And Millennium Park, what I really like about this issue, it gives you the history of Millennium Park. It gives you the financial history of the money that they invested into Millennium Park, and not only the money that they invested, but the money that it brings back through tours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Millennium Park is a big item in Chicago.
for
We
sure.
take it for granted, because
Yeah.
we have Millennium Park. We have the being the Cloud Gate. We have the band shells. We have all that. Okay, but don't take it for granted because all of this is special.
Yeah, and other cities have parks, obviously.
right.
But, they don't do stuff like this in Central Park.
Okay.
They don't have, these huge events that we get to have like regularly. I mean, they do
Free.
big events
Ooh, yeah, free.
in Central Park, but they're not always free,
Right.
and they're not, they're not regular. Like our stuff is like regular and always free. And
Yeah,
it's
basically.
amazing.
Basically.
Yeah.
Basically, thank you, Dave, for explaining all these old issues. So
Yeah.
this is what you miss, and if you talk to your vendors, you can get a copy of either one of these.
Yeah.
You put in a request for, except for maybe the festival guide. And I think Dave want to talk about the latest issue.
Yeah, so I just wanted to really quickly say that this week our summer concert guide is finally here because it's finally summer and it took a long time to get here. But we have a list of well-known and up-and-coming artists in our concert guide, and we'll be celebrating them all week as we look forward to some of the best concerts that are happening over the next 3 months. That's all I wanted to say about it. Did you have
Okay.
anything you wanted to say about
Yeah, Gladys Knight. See, Gladys Knight, she without the pips, but that's Gladys Knight. And then one other thing that I saw up in here that intrigued me because I like T.I. And I think he's playing at the Ravinia tonight. T.I.
Oh, is it tonight?
I think it's tonight,
Oh,
Tuesday
wow.
night. Yeah,
Happens fast.
I'm gonna put a shout
There
out
it is.
for
Oh, there's
T.I.
T.I.
T.I. put a
Zoom.
shout out for T.I. That's my guy, T.I. T.I. put a shout in for T.I. But yeah, the summer guide, you'll be surprised at some of the people that you know that's in the summer guide, and it'll guide you right through the festivals, okay? The summer concert guide you right through the festivals. That way you won't miss a beat, and you'll be the life of the party. Anytime someone come into town, you can tell them, I got the festival guide, and you let them know what's happening when
Yeah.
they come in town.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, that's the reason why most of these magazines are guides, okay? They'll guide you to what's happening in Chicago, and that's a good thing because Streetwise know that there's a lot of places that people want to see, and so the information is good, You need this information, especially if you have people from out of town coming in, especially if you like to enjoy yourself in entertainment. Yeah, check out Streetwise. A matter of fact, let me just mention this, Dave. We have a guide in every Streetwise. Every Streetwise has an entertainment guide, and it's usually the first 2 pages. It tells you the events that's going on right there.
Yep.
It tells you the events that's going on in Chicago, the day is going on, where, when, why, what's happening. That comes in every Streetwise. So
Yeah.
you have a guide either way you go. You have a miniature guide, then you have the big guide.
Yeah, I mean, we do our best to find events for our events calendar that are open and to everyone, and usually on the more affordable side, and they support the arts and a local arts, whether it be dance or theater, things like that. A lot of free things, a lot of free concerts, free music, free games.
Yes.
So we really try our best to find things for our calendar that are open and inclusive to every Chicagoan. So, and also in this concert guide, we do have a little bit of a preview of the Taste of Chicago. If anyone's interested, we were very fortunate and got to go to a taste preview unveiling with actually Mayor Rahm Emanuel, so it was a little bit ago. But we have our little write-up of the event, and we also are getting ready for our Taste of Chicago issue, which will be next week.
Okay, I have one question to ask you about that issue.
What's
Will
that?
we have the map?
You will have a map inside the Taste of Chicago issue. There is a full map with every restaurant, every pop-up. Yeah.
Now, as a vendor, that is great news because last year we didn't have the map.
No.
And then a lot of customers was like, do you have the map in there? And unfortunately, we had to say no. But this year, we will have the map.
They will this year. Last year, the City of Chicago DCASE, the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, who puts together Taste of Chicago, they were using the map kind of as like a benefit for people that bought VIP tickets.
Oh, okay.
So that's why they wouldn't give us one, because then everybody would get one.
Oh, okay.
But this year they changed their mind, which I'm thankful for.
Yeah, that's good because they know we need that map.
Yeah.
We need that map. But anyway, Dave, you have been very creative in putting together us a good product for us to sell, and I really appreciate it because
Thank you.
I feel proud to go out and say, Streetwise, Find out what you've been missing. Get your latest up-to-date edition. Be knowledgeable. Be experienced. Be streetwise. Get your latest up-to-date
Nice.
edition. And then not only that, but Dave, Streetwise is just a small part of the international network of street papers. And I'm going to leave the scene for a minute because I think our audience would like.
Oh, don't worry about it. We are almost done.
We're almost done.
We're almost done in
Aw.
5 seconds. So thank you for tuning in if you're out there watching. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Okay, yeah, I have one thing I want to add. Orientation is Tuesdays and Thursdays
Oh.
at 10 o'clock.